Hello there, my name is Sebastian Smith. This is a digital essay of Malcolm X. Malcolm was born May 19, 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska, as Malcolm Little, and he was also the fourth child by his mother Louise Little and father Earl Little. The nickname Red arrived from the look of his hair. It was nearly bright red all over. As Malcolm aged, his hair looked similar to his father's grandparents'. This nickname, Red, would stick with him through his youth until he arrived in Detroit. Malcolm earned the name of Detroit Red because of his involvement in gambling, drugs, and criminal activity, yet as well as because of his red conch hair that he had during this time. In 1943, Malcolm moved to New York City. While living here, he made a lot of friends and got involved in a lot of different criminal-like situations. It is because of this he is called Detroit Red. While in Harlem, Malcolm was constantly harassed by the police. Finally, Malcolm was charged with possession of multiple firearms and basically sentenced to prison for a period of 8 to 10 years. While in the pen, Malcolm earned the nickname Satan based off of his hostility towards religion. He wasn't as involved with it or accepted it the way that others had. In prison, Malcolm met a man by the name of John Elton Bimby, or though in the book known as Bimby. This prisoner was one who Malcolm later described as the first man he had ever seen command total respect with his words. This was big to Malcolm because this wasn't seen that often. Because of this, Malcolm had the idea and wanting for reading and learning. So every night when the prison lights went off, Malcolm came on and began his studies. While in the penitentiary, Malcolm's brother, Reginald, visited him on multiple occasions. During one particular visit, Reginald reached out to Malcolm regarding the Nation of Islam, a new religion and new group that he was involved in. Reginald told Malcolm to think about getting the works and joining it, and Malcolm decided that he would take a look into it. After educating himself about the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm began writing letters to Elijah, and in one instance, Elijah Muhammad messaged back to him. Muhammad told Muhammad told Malcolm to atone for his sins and pray to the Almighty Allah, and promise to never get involved with such dangerous situations again. From that moment on in the pen, Malcolm avoided trouble. Once Malcolm was released from prison in 1952, he had a new name. In December of 1950, Malcolm signed his name as Malcolm X for the first time. As Malcolm learned, a Muslim's X symbolized the true African identity family name that he could never know. For himself, he claimed that the X replaced the white slave master name of Little and provided him with a new identity of himself. Malcolm next visited Elijah Muhammad in Chicago. During the summer of 1953, Malcolm X was named the Nation of Islam's Temple No. 1 and Detroit's assistant minister. He soon will become a full-time minister. Malcolm's job eventually became to establish multiple temples. He would eventually go on to create many and have rapid membership expansion throughout the Nation of Islam. While performing masterful work for the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X quickly rose to the top of the hierarchy. Many began to regard him as number one over even Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm X did not want to see it this way. He tried on multiple occasions to remove himself from the national spotlight and always and forever promote Elijah Muhammad's name as well as their one and almighty God, Allah. In the end, Malcolm X would continuously be seen as this overseer of the entire organization and eventually would be betrayed by Elijah Muhammad. After this, Malcolm X opened up and decided that he would take his own pilgrimage to Mecca. After receiving the money from his half-sister Ella, Malcolm took the trip. On this trip, he learned a lot about who he was as a person and what being a Muslim actually meant to him. He would go on to change his name from Malcolm X to El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. In 1965, Malcolm X would go on to be assassinated. Though he is gone, his memory lives on in the hearts of many African Americans as well as non-blacks.